welcome. Thanks for joining us here on Mums at the Table. Grab a cuppa and sit down and have a discussion with us about what is going on in mums' minds. Now, I do have some great minds with us today, and I will introduce you to them. I don't know why they laugh. I'm giving you a compliment.
Right.
Shona, who doesn't accept compliments well.
No.
Mary Ellen and Julie. Welcome, ladies. How are you?
We're good.
Good.
And you?
Good. I'm sort of in that odd zone because, you know, we've done Christmas, we've sort of done New Year's, but I'm in that zone where I haven't started planning for the year yet. So
What?
I don't know what day it is. I sort of don't know what's happening a bit at home.
How blissful. Just enjoy it while
How
it
blissful.
Wow, I'm
planned,
organised
you're
out
into
till March.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I'm like you, Shona. I have at least a month in advance. Probably not March, but yeah.
What about you, Julie?
I just slip back into the year and it's back
Yeah.
into routine and off
See,
we go.
I don't even know why I asked. I'm always on my own with these things, aren't I? Well, the good thing is that I do know what is happening on the show today. So we are talking charity. We are talking about what it's going to do for our kids in the future. We're also chatting to Dr. Ison Liang. Now, we're going to talk to him about a new procedure that's going to help women with severe period pain. If you're one of those women and you think that's normal, maybe you need to listen to that interview. But to start things off, we're actually going to talk about what do you do with your kids during the school holidays. Now, I know that there's probably so many parents that have heard that word, I'm bored.
Yep.
And like you can hear that so many times in the holidays, you sort of just go off the deep end a little bit. But Julie, can you think back, because I know your girls are a little bit older now, but can you think back to, did you ever look forward to the holidays or did you sort of dread the onset of them?
I loved the holidays. I was a teacher. So
Yeah, okay.
holidays were great.
Yeah, did you get holidays?
So, yeah, never a holiday from kids, but yeah, I love school holidays. I love spending some time with the kids, but I think mostly my own kids change. But mostly I like to send them, they would go to friends' places. That's what we did. So I guess I'm not like some mums that had to go to work, which was great because I know that's a challenge.
That is a huge challenge, isn't it?
But they would either have friends over or go to other friends' places. Yeah.
I lived in mixed fear. Like, I loved the beginning of the school holidays because the kids were all excited. You know, they were so happy to be on holiday and I was like, yay, sleeping, no having to make school lunches, you know, because school lunches at our place was like gourmet spread.
Oh, no.
But then
We had to make our own.
I'm still making lunches. But towards sort of about now, mid-January, I'm going, oh, what am I going to do with these children?
Because they don't want to go back to school,
No,
but they don't want to be on holidays.
I'd send them off to camp and stuff like that, or we'd go
that's a good
camping.
idea.
Yeah,
Would your kids complain about being bored?
all the time.
What did you do?
Yeah.
Chucked them outside and locked the door.
Did you? See, now that's the thing, because I remember back when I was young and we did school holidays, Mum and Dad did not entertain us.
No.
They were like,
No, I
go
wouldn't
find something
entertain
to
them.
do.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm entertaining my kids more than I was entertained. And I'm like, is there a generational difference, do you think?
I think it's something we forget, I think probably in the technological age, is that it's good to be bored.
Yes.
It encourages creativity. And if your kids can't cope with being bored, it's probably a little bit of a problem, I think. You know, you need to let them engage with whatever's around them.
I used to say to my kids, bored people are boring people. They used to hate that.
Go find something to
There's
do.
the vacuum
I
cleaner,
like that.
there's the dishwasher.
Oh, no, here's a hammer, here's some nails, here's matches, go for it. Because, you know, we you know, lived...
Matches?
See, these days you have...
Grew up on a farm.
I did grow up on a farm, yeah.
Yeah, see, these days city kids and WHS regulations don't allow that kind of stuff.
True.
I think there are some good ideas out there because, as you said, there's summer camps, there's all sorts of things that communities put on. And I've also noticed that churches often put on a lot of free activities or days for kids if parents, you know, want to have some ideas.
And there's
have a look
cricket
in your-
camps and there's swim camps.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of things they can do.
Yeah,
Just get online and Google what's in your area.
Yeah.
I think there is, yeah. And look, kids probably need a bit of creativity in their life too. Well, school might be out for summer, but it is not forever. And what may last forever, though, and something that you could think about to do in the school holidays, is the impact and benefit volunteering to help others may provide your child. Now, in the latest Mums at the Table magazine, our very insightful psychologist, Colette Smart, writes about the wonderful mental benefits and the physical advantages that charity work imparts to your child. Now, Shona, I'm coming to you because I know you do a lot of volunteering work. Is this something that was sort of modelled to you growing up, and is that why it's such a big part of your life now?
No.
No, okay.
Not at all.
So is this something that's sort of on your heart, or?
Yeah, I think being involved in church and just seeing that other people don't have as much as we did made me very aware that we needed to do something for other people. And so, as you know, we ended up going overseas for a couple of years. And from that, I've continued to do a lot of charity work. And because I was a stay-at-home mum and I hated being at home all the time, I just thought, I need to get out and I need to get these kids out because they're just driving me insane, literally.
Yeah, I think I just want to sort of quickly refer to Colette's article because she said there were some really interesting things. I think the one that sort of got me is that it's shown to lessen symptoms of chronic pain and heart disease.
That's amazing, isn't
Isn't
it?
it? Like
How much charity work do you have to do for that to happen?
should be in great health.
I'm going to live forever.
I think it was really
naturally,
beautiful though.
You know, with older kids, teenagers, they tend to be so introverted and looking at themselves and what they need. The great thing about charity work, I notice, is it gets them looking outside of themselves.
Yeah, and look, and something I love too is a lot of the schools now are doing, instead of Schoolies Week,
I love that.
They're going out to
Mission
do
trips.
mission trips, which I think you're doing, aren't you?
No, my class did do one in year 11. I wasn't lucky enough to go, but yeah, a lot of schools do that, especially Adventist ones in Sydney. I know all of them pretty much do that. So yeah, it's really good.
I just think that's great. I really do.
And changes the whole focus of themselves.
And I've read that the millennial generation is a fairly philanthropic generation. Is that something that you agree with, Mary Ellen?
That's really interesting that you say that. I don't know if I agree necessarily.
Because they like to be involved in causes. That
Yeah.
seems to be a big theme.
I think a lot of them are vocal about causes. You know, they'll share the post on Facebook. They'll do this.
Yeah.
But I think we think they're more philanthropic because there's Facebook and you can see everything that's happening in the world a lot more than what you used to. And my dad is 76 this year, so he's a bit older than most dads. And he talks about when he was young, he would just, you know, help the neighbours with this and do this. And he was really community focused. I think we've lost that in modern society.
And now we do these GoFundMe pages, which really aren't charity because you're funding other people that you know.
That are going on mission trips.
Yeah, well, some of them aren't, but yeah.
But some are genuine as well, so I don't want to sort of take away
It's more
from that.
pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, getting your kids to push themselves out of their comfort zones.
Yeah, it's really good for confidence, I think.
Yeah.
Sorry. So what did you do for your kids? Because it's a big thing for you. Is it just been monkey see, monkey do, or have you been intentional about them getting involved in volunteering work in a way?
Well, I've been quite intentional about getting them involved because when Joshua didn't have a job and I was running an op shop up the coast, I said, that's your board. You will come down and work in the op shop free of charge and that is your rent back to me. So I've been quite intentional with my kids about what they need to do in the community, not just you know, in ADRA or other things like that, just in the neighbourhood in general. You know, my kids are always going and picking up their friends if their cars have broken down or doing that sort of stuff.
So it's like open their eyes to sort of seeing where a need is.
Yeah.
And I think it's more what you were saying, it's not just doing the big mission trips because that's not what everyone can do. It's the little things. It's the way you treat people. It's going out of your way to take a meal around. It's ringing up a friend who's going through a tough time. That's the kinds of things I think we can model.
Yeah, I agree 100% with you, Julie. And Colette's got some great ideas and it's a really good article that I encourage you to read. So she has written an article for our Mums at the Table magazine, but we actually want to hear from you as parents. So if you want to write us a story about your parenting experience, we want to give you a giveaway. All you need to do is write to us at hello@mumsathetable.com and share that parenting story. Now, we've got a couple of books to give away if we choose to publish your story in our magazine. I'll just hold those up. So this is a great one here, ABC, What Can She Be? So anything in the alphabet. And The Short and Curly Guide to Life. So if you would like a copy of either of those books, write your parenting story to us at hello@mumsathetable.com. Well, earlier we were talking about activities to do with your kids during the holidays, and I think cooking is a really good idea. Well, we're heading now into the Mums at the Table kitchen with the gorgeous Gia and Olive, and they are going to cook us some peach muffins.
Hi! So we are making an awesome lunchbox idea. They're called healthy peach muffins, okay? So we're gonna use, Moses is gonna help me, half a cup of walnuts chopped up, and you're helping me too. Half a cup of walnuts, can you put them in there? Awesome, just chopped up walnuts, 3.5 cups of oats, just rolled oats. Thank you, Momo. Thank you.
Let's put it in there.
Now, this is what's going to bind it because there's no eggs in this, there's no dairy. And you can actually, if you've got gluten intolerances, you can get like gluten-free, not gluten-free, but free of gluten oats, if you like. Now, this is what's going to really bind it together. Bananas. So there's 6 bananas, and Olive's really done a good job mashing it, haven't you? Okay, let's go. Yum, delicious. This is going to be so tasty. And 1 teaspoon of baking powder and 1 teaspoon of baking powder and soda, baking soda.
Can I do it?
Yes, but you have to put on the dry bit because Mummy forgot to put it in just before because it's better to mix it through the dry ingredients first and then put the wet ingredients in. Now, I'm going to mix that. Yeah, you can help me. Can you grab another? Here. Can you use a spoon to help me mix it? Mix, 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 mix. Oh, you can lick that. Go ahead. Tell me if it's delicious. Is it? So now, at the end, I'm actually going to fold through the peaches. They're just, you can get them in a can or in one of those containers. They're already chopped, actually. I just got chopped peaches like and we've got the vanilla. Ooh, vanilla essence. You don't have to put vanilla essence in it, but it does give it a little nice flavour. Okay, that's it. So we squash it through. No, don't squash it through, just fold it through. And then we put it in our little pan here that I've already greased, our little muffin pans. So now I'm going to just use this.
You just put some on me.
Did I accidentally? Okay. It should make about 12. And then we're going to put it in the oven and we are going to put it on setting 180. We're going to bake it for about 30 to 35 minutes. Just keep an eye on it, so if it starts going brown, that's probably when it's ready. I've actually made cookies similar to this, which is like 3 or 4 ingredients. And if you go to mumsattetable.com, you'll see on our website, you'll go into our recipe page and you'll be able to find them there. Now, I'm going to put this in the oven and we're going to be back to see what it looks like.
Yeah.
So we got our healthy peach muffins out of the oven. So just put your oven to a lower setting if you think, or maybe turn off the fan force, but they still smell delicious and look how awesome they look coming out. These are going to be awesome for the kids. I'm going to try some because, I don't know. They're really good. So try them at home. Please go to our Facebook page, Mums at the Table. If you see this show, just write down how it turned out for you. I've got a mouthful, so I'm going to go. See you next time.
They look pretty good. Well, if you want more of Gia and Olive's recipes, you can get them in our Mums at the Table magazine. Just write to us to grab your free copy. The email is on your screen. Well, for some of us, the phrase messy play is just another word for dinner time. But mostly I refer to that tactile experience that stimulates a child's senses, also known as sensory play. But are you the type of parent who loves messy play when your kids are at preschool or someone else's house? Or do you encourage it in your own home? Shona, Shona, is this something you did with your kids at home and coped with really well?
Let's not do the coped with really well, but I did it at home because, like you know, I've got 2 boys and they were both really close in age. And I was just, when you were talking about it, I was thinking about how they were probably about 4 and 5, so they were just not quite at school yet. And I remember giving them some paint and a table outside with some paper, rolls and rolls of paper. And about 10 minutes later, I could hear all this laughing and giggling and carrying on. And I walk outside and here's these 2 little boys painted head to toe, stark naked, painted head to toe, all these different colours. So I had to rush in and get a photo.
Yeah, you do.
21st pictures, here you come.
Glad they took their clothes off.
They took their clothes off and they're running up and down the driveway painted.
I'm glad you had like the foresight to take those photos.
Oh, yes.
I would have just seen that and gone, no.
know, loved it.
Mary Ellen, you are a really creative person, and in my mind I've sort of always associated messy play and sensory sort of play with creativity. Well, help me out with my own personal myth here. Is it something that you did a lot as a kid or got involved in?
It's weird because my mum encouraged sensory play. She was all about, maybe not so much the messy, painty kind of stuff, more just like the Legos are all over the lounge room and you go outside and you make mud pies and that kind of thing. That was great. But I was the child who would tidy up their room and line all of their shoes up the hallway to sort them and then put them back in the cupboard. So, like, I think there's a fine balance as well because, you know, my mum would always tell us to tidy up after we'd finish and things like that. And so where do you kind of draw the line?
Yeah, I tell my kids
messy.
to tidy up.
Yeah, okay.
No working at all.
Yeah. So I think some kids are just sort of more predisposed to certain...
I think so. I've got one like you who likes to line things up. And then I've got one who is a real sensory seeker. So she will put rocks, hard rocks, into her gumboots and then put her feet in and walk on them. It's almost a relief to her in a way. Like she really craves that sort of that feeling. Yeah. But what benefits do you think it has? Because, I mean, I know there's a lot of research out, but personally, like, did you see anything with your kids where you sort of went, yep, that was worth it?
I think as a primary teacher, my poor kids were cursed with a mother who was a primary teacher. So
Don't say curse.
I had made them the Play-Doh. We had the sand pit in the backyard. So I was really aware of trying to get them to do all those kinds of things because it does develop their fine motor skills and their gross motor skills. So I was always aware of those sorts of things.
But it also makes them problem solve.
Yes,
it makes them
as well.
think outside of the box. How can I be, you know, what can I do different? Because I would be just give them a whole lot of stuff. It didn't matter what it was, glue the whole lot and just let them go. I didn't care what it ended up like, so long as they had fun.
And you don't even have to sort of use like, you know, your glue or anything. Like nature is such a sensory and messy place to play. Like I feel like
break sticks and
I feel like that's sort of what God designed for us, like to sort of get in. Even though I am not a fan of messy play, I am at preschool, but at home
Her messy play was good. It was all confined in plastic bags.
Actually, let me give you a tip. One good kind of messy play, if you like to be tidy, is to go out in the concrete outside and just paint water.
Yes.
I used to do that.
Great one.
And crayon, chalk.
If you're looking for more ideas, learningforkids.net has a fantastic and long list of those sensory ideas if you're looking to create a lovely little diet for your little seekers. And for those parents who are really strategic, you could actually add some of those sensory experiences to chores around the home to make them fun. But the question is having your kids actually do chores of any value? Well, Laura is sitting down with our resident psychologist, Colette Smart, to chat through this very idea.
Hello, I'm Laura Bennett. Would you believe me if I said that doing all those chores as a kid actually related to your success as an adult? Yes, all those hours mowing the lawn, also cleaning the house, a lot of studies are starting to show that they do play a big role on the kind of work ethic we grow up with. To explain more, psychologist and parenting expert Colette Smart joins us. Thanks for being on the show.
Hi.
Hi, and of course, with something like this, doing chores, that's not something we normally associate with success, but what is the link there?
So it's fascinating that what they found is children around 3 or 4 years old, when they've looked at them, the children who have done chores, it's actually predicted their success into their mid-20s.
Wow.
So we tend to wonder if children are too young at that age, but they're really not. And we're seeing children become more successful as adults in a whole lot of areas. So essentially we see children developing relationships better. So the world doesn't revolve around them. When you do chores, it's not all about me. You have to develop a pitch-in mindset. So you actually develop into an adult who is more resilient. You look outward. Your relationship improves with others. And then also for children, they develop skills, fine motor skills, gross motor skills. They just become more resilient because they have to be doing something that is not just me focused.
Yeah, better contributors to society as a whole, probably. But when you are getting your kids to do these jobs, I remember being paid a little bit as a kid. Should we be paying our children to do chores?
So I'm going to say no. So for everyday chores that are just part of being part of the family, your children don't live in a hotel. You're not a hotel. So it's important to be part of the family, doing the dishwasher or helping out with sweeping. If you've made the mess, you do that. You're part of the home. If there's added jobs, sometimes my husband's quite handy and he'll build things like decks. He will get my teenage son involved, and then, we'd pay somebody else. So those kind of things, it's okay.
Right.
But it would be, negotiable in your home.
Yeah, so paid for the big stuff, but maybe not the little stuff. And then when it comes to your expectations as a parent on the quality of the chores being done, clean dishes, etc., is it okay for parents to expect a high standard of work?
Look, I think as a society, we tend to expect less of our children than we did in times gone by. So parents hold back more from having expectations of their children on chores. I think you do expect a high standard, not perfectionism. And as children start doing chores, be kind and show them how it's done. Don't be angry when they've messed up or they break a glass. But if they just going, oh, well, mum will fix it, then they'll get into a habit of just doing a half-hearted job. So call them back to fix it. But really, your children at 2 or 3 years old can be pulling their beds up. They can be unpacking plastics. Primary age children can already start learning how to load washing machines, unpacking dishwashers, feeding the animals. And your older children can be doing some of the bigger chores around the house that the adults do. So share the load.
Yeah, so creating some age-appropriate chores then.
Yes.
Fantastic advice, Colette. Thank you.
Thanks.
As parenting expert and psychologist, Colette Smart. So maybe we don't have to pay the kids for doing the chores. I don't know if they'll like it so much, but that may work for you and the family budget. And of course, you can find more segments just like this. Find us on Facebook and also hit us up on the website as well.
Well, there are some brilliant and fun things about being a woman, but there are also some days where it's a real pain, period. Well, it doesn't matter how funny you find the alternative names, the Crimson Tide, Girl Flu, Red Baron, Shark Week. When Auntie Flo visits at that time of the month, it can be a cripplingly painful experience for some women. Well, today we are sitting down to chat to interventional radiologist Dr. Ison Liang from the Sydney Adventist Hospital. Now, up for discussion is a better understanding of things like severe period pain, adenomyosis, fibroids, and the recent success of a new procedure to help women who really need it. Dr. Liang, thanks so much for joining us today here on Mums at the Table.
It's really a pleasure to be here.
It's a topic that is not often spoken about, and when I say that I mean heavy menstrual bleeding and period pain. Can you sort of describe to me, because most women would, when I say period pain, yes, that's talked about, but when we say severe period pain, what does that actually mean?
That means it's affecting their day-to-day life. They have to, if they were working women, they can't go back to work. They have to take their days off, and they are looking after the children, and they can't attend to their children. So, and that's severe pain if that's affecting their day-to-day activities.
So most women would sort of go, okay, just take a Panadol, take a pill. Would that not be enough?
Yes, I mean, there are simple medical therapies. If that's not enough, then you need to go and see your doctors and find out what's going on. If it's just, I mean, there's probably start with an ultrasound test and see what's going on. If that pain is severe and persisting, perhaps they should be referred to a gynecologist. If it's just period pain, perhaps it's endometriosis that need to be sorted. If it's period pain plus heavy menstrual bleeding, and then we need to think about adenomyosis.
So what is the difference between endometriosis? Because I've heard of that before, but I've never heard of adenomyosis.
That's an excellent question. Adenomyosis is regarded as the cousin of endometriosis, but it's a bad cousin. Because with endometriosis, you only have period pain. But with adenomyosis, the woman suffers not only severe period pain, but also heavy menstrual bleeding.
So they have to have both?
Yes. Typically, they don't have to have both to reach a diagnosis, but typically they have both conditions.
Right. So should they be treated differently?
They are even investigated differently because let's understand what's endometriosis, which is the inner lining of the uterus has gone outside of the uterus. So every cycle, towards the end of the cycle, the women have period pain, right? The adenomyosis is the same tissue. The endometrial lining normally is inside the cavities has gone into the wall. So that's why they have severe period pain and heavy periods.
So it actually goes into the uteral wall.
Exactly. The lining tissue, the glandular tissue has gone into the wall. So you have increased surface area. The woman can bleed, and also it's like the woman's bleeding inside the uterus, inside the wall itself.
So how many women are we talking about here? Like how many women would have either endometriosis or adenomyosis?
So both conditions are very common. Okay. In terms of adenomyosis, adenomyosis, unfortunately, a lot of time we don't get a preoperative diagnosis. I can get to that in a moment. But if you look at the hysterectomy specimen, they're actually present in 40 to 70% of the hysterectomy specimen. All
That's
right?
a lot.
That's a lot of adenomyosis. But why are we not knowing about it before? It's because, to start with, there's a lack of awareness. Most people, like, have you heard about adenomyosis before today?
No.
Yeah. So, and a lot of GPs are not thinking about adenomyosis because there isn't a specific treatment. I mean, a specific test for it, so that they're not thinking about it. And radiologists are missing it because on the ultrasound, the signs can be quite subtle.
Is there something that can be done for it, like and I say this like naturally, like lifestyle or diet or exercise? Is that sort of something that can?
You can try all that,
Yep.
and then if that's not working, you should visit your GP. There's some medical therapies, including Mirena. If that fails, in the past, unfortunately, the woman has to face the difficult choice of either putting out the symptoms or hysterectomy.
That's pretty drastic, a hysterectomy.
So how would you treat it?
Okay, I'm an interventional radiologist. We just published a series of 117 women that we treated with embolization. That means blocking of the arteries. So we go in to block the left and the right uterine artery to restrict the blood supply to the uterus. So the adenomyotic tissue will die. And yet, because the normal myometrium can recruit new vessels, so the uterus will survive, it's not harmed, but the adenomyotic tissue is gone. So we have 90% success rate. So it's a great non-surgical way of treating this condition with local anesthetic, 1 night stay in hospital, and 1 week recovery. So this gives the woman, for those women who are fearful of coming forward for surgery and chose to put out with the symptoms, and this is a hope for those women, so they can they don't need to put up with the symptoms anymore.
It's a lot less evasive than having to have a
far less
hysterectomy.
invasive, and so the important thing is they don't have to put up with the symptoms anymore. Come forward. There are effective medical treatments, and also this non-surgical radiological treatment called uterine artery embolization.
Is there somewhere else women can go to get more information?
Yes, we have a website, an educational website. It's adenomyosis.com.au. Adenomyosis in one word.com.au.
So does this typically happen for older women, or it's happening a lot in younger women as well, or it's sort of, anyone it targets?
It can be anyone. We've seen that in those women who has multiple pregnancies, but also we've seen this in younger girls as well. It is quite a common condition. It's just that we're not aware of it. So it can happen in any age group. So, yeah.
And Julie, it's something that you and I were sort of, talking about a little bit earlier because we're familiar with it a little bit. And I just sort of remember back to some of those days, and endometriosis was sort of my thing. And I remember those debilitating days where you couldn't go to work.
Yeah.
And I sort of went to a GP and they were like, yep, you'll just have to take more painkillers, and sort of didn't go any further.
Yeah, I had the similar experience being as a young teenager, just having really, really heavy bleeding. My mother taking me to the GP. The GP just put me on the pill because that was what was known, and it really didn't fix anything.
Yeah, that's why we're here to raise the awareness so that we can ask the question, is there any effective medical therapy? How do we investigate this? Are there non-surgical treatments for this?
And I love that we're sort of, putting this on the table, but we're talking about it. It's becoming something that we can sort of do something about. Well, absolutely fantastic topic. We've got more next time, so we would love to have you join us on Mums at the Table. We will see you next time. Bye.